fight the power like BITCHUTE.
What's the status, 3?
I'm good, just making the world a better place, that's all.
What is good? So you can see here, hopefully I sound good. There's no borging. We're going to get into the Book of Wisdom. And I'm going to do pieces of it. You know, I'm not going to go too fast. It's a good book, packed with the knowledge and wisdom you need to elevate yourself. It's written by Harry B. Joseph, Revival of Wisdom. So, let's start off with light, okay? I mean, the way this book breaks down stuff, in the Bible is a million times better than any preacher. So it's in Genesis 1:3. Let there be light. We live inside of a light wave universe where all things are created out of light. Low vibrating light turns into matter. Like I've always said, Satan is the king of the material world, right? Because he's low vibrating light. Jesus is shown mostly as a spirit. Jesus is king of the spiritual realm, more or less, you know, for allegory. It says high vibrating matter turns back into light. Universal One by Walter Russell. God is thinking, mind. The substance or body of God is light. The one universal substance, a thinking substance, comprehensive and describable, and possessed of principles which are familiar to man through man's observation of the one universal substance in created things. The substance of all created things is light. The one substance of thinking mind is all that exists. Mind is expressed in light. Human. Now we know what hue is. Which best defines hue? The attribute of colors that permits them to be classed as red, yellow, green, blue, or an intermediate between any contiguous pair of these colors, red with an orange hue. Sort of like Donald Trump's face. As a hue man, we are an attribute of a color that permits them to be classed that specific color. Each individual is the mind, not the physical body. Without the mind, the physical body / world would cease to exist. The mind is spirit. The mind is the intellect that manipulates the physical body and the world around us. The mind is a frequency tuner, tuning itself. Oh man, I gotta stop that. The mind is like a frequency tuner, tuning itself into different frequencies. The mind exists within the mental plane, which is shared between the minds of the universe. Thoughts are not created by the individual. They are received based on what frequency our mind is set to. If we set our mind to a specific topic, like generating wealth, for example, we tune into that frequency in the mental plane, and we will receive thoughts on how to generate wealth. Our mind is generally operating off one specific frequency based upon our daily thinking patterns. Every frequency is a color, therefore, our mind is manifesting colors within the astral plane based upon what frequency our mind is generally operating off. If we are carrying hate in our mind, we will be generating reddish colors. This is why the word human means an attribute of a color, which should aim to become violet, which is, I think, your crown chakra. I think the highest vibrational color within the light spectrum. We are light being manifested into physical form. You do not see into reality. Now, these symbols are interesting. You know, you get all that crap about the sigil of Lucifer, but I bet you most Christians don't know that the sigil of Lucifer is telling you this. Sorry for the noise. I live in an apartment building, and, you know, someone's probably drunk trying to sing in the mirror. So now you got the visual field, you got the two eyeballs. You see how it connects to the brain? It reminds me of like a projector machine or a camera. All right. You see the sigil of Lucifer, then you got the Egyptian sculpture, which is doing the same thing. Now, who ever thought of the sculpture doing that? Pretty genius to synchronize that. It says, we do not see into the external world. Light waves enter the retinas, and then the image we see is produced in the visual cortex located at the back end of the brain. Lucifer means the light bearer. Lucifer, or Lucy. Lucy in Latin means light. The sigil of Lucifer is showing you the visual field of the eyes. We do not see into the external world. Light waves enter the retinas, and then the image we see is produced in the visual cortex located at the back end of our brain. The visual cortex is the primary cortical region of the brain that receives, integrates, and processes visual information relayed from the retinas. The ancient Kemetic Egyptians had a deep understanding of the function of reality and the brain. This is why it is reflected in their sculptures as shown above. Now we'll get into the electromagnetic spectrum. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Element. Element. Ment is mind and El is God. Element. God, mind. The elements only exist within the mind. Humans are God, made flesh. We are not the God in separate bodies. The elements only exist within the mind. Humans are God made flesh. We are the God in separate bodies. God is mind, and all things exist in the universal mind. God is thinking all things into existence. It says about 0.0035%. The entire rainbow of radiation observable to the human eye only makes up a tiny portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, about 0.0035%. This range of wavelength is known as visible light. Now, we'll jump into the Christ oil. All right, Christ oil, chapter 2. I'm going to do it, but let's just do it real quick. And we'll end it after this. I should do chapter for chapter. I'm going to do that after this. But since we're here, I might as well. All right. When the moon enters your sun sign, your birth zodiac sign, a psychophysical oil is released from the brain down the spine to the sacrum bone or sacrum bone. This sacred fluid must be cared for and not destroyed by acidic foods and liquids. Our sexual energy / fluids must be retained if we wish to raise this psychophysical oil back to our brain, heaven. The brain is heaven. I just want to say your third eye is God's throne. By opening our chakras, preserving our sexual energy, and maintaining the Christ oil, we can use the powers behind the sexual energy, Kundalini, to raise it up from the base of the spine back to the crown chakra in the brain. By awakening the 7 chakras and raising the Kundalini to the crown chakra, new energy pathways open up within the brain, which feels like your head becomes hollow on the inside. The brain undergoes a remodeling process, expanding its capacity from roughly 10% of usage to the complete 100%. Dormant areas of the brain are unlocked, signaling new ways of brain functioning and experiencing the world. The Kundalini, over time, becomes a self-sustaining energy circuit fueled by food and water that grows and gets stronger. You have here your 12 zodiacs. Your 8-pointed star at the center, which would be Polaris. Colostrum, right? Colostrum or Santa Claus. What's the other word? Colostrum. Anyway, there's other words. You got your cerebrum, third ventricle, lateral ventricle, hypothalamus, optic nerve, pituitary gland, brainstem, your pons, your medulla, your fourth ventricle, your tectum, your cerebrum, or cerebellum, sorry, tentorium, pineal gland, and choroid plexus. And then you see the eye of Ra or the eye of Horus, depending on which side. So oil process. 1. The claustrum, which is Claus equals Santa Claus, produces the psychophysical fluid, which then goes to the pineal and pituitary gland. 2. The pineal gland electrically charges the fluid, male/Joseph. 3. The pituitary gland magnetically charges the fluid, female/Mary. 4. Then the fluid will travel down the two nerves, the ida, which is connected to the pituitary, and then the pingala, which is connected to the pineal gland. 5. The oil then rests for 2 to 3 days on the sacrum or sacrum bone, the solar plexus. 6. If the oil is saved and not destroyed, the oil will activate the Kundalini energy. The oil will activate the Kundalini energy, which will turn the oil into a gas and rise back up the 33 vertebrae to the medulla oblongata. 7. This will then pass to the pineal gland, and then the cerebrum, which will rebirth/resurrect all the brain cells, activate the pineal gland, and regenerate all the cells in the body. This process is symbolized as being born again. Then you got your picture at the base. You got your sushumna, and it reminds me of the two serpents, right? On the caduceus, going up the spine. Your 33 vertebrae, so the ida and the pingala. The brain is the Bible. The brain in the Bible is the upper room where Jesus meets the 12 disciples / 12 cranial nerves. The Holy Land, the land flowing with milk and honey, the promised land of Israel. The milk is the pituitary gland, and the honey is the pineal gland. Christos, Greek for oil. Then it became Christ. Corinthians 13:5. Do you not know that Jesus Christ is within you? How to raise the oil. Retain your sexual fluids. Consuming an alkaline diet. No consumption of acidic foods / fluids. No consuming alcohol. Kundalini medication. Balance all chakras. Keep your tongue on the top of your mouth. Proper breathing. Psalms 137:6. My tongue cling to the root of my mouth. If I do not remember you, if I do not consider Jerusalem my highest joy. They're just showing you the medical symbol, your 7 chakras sitting in a cross position, forming a triangle, which in architecture, look at the old, I just want to bring this up, the old architecture, you probably rarely ever seen a square building. The architecture with shapes, and because they knew squares held the energy in, like phones and project buildings, like that's what you see nowadays. Everything's a square, a box, a prison, right? A cell. Back in the day, everything released energy, kept energy cycling and moving. Heaven. The spine is Jordan, the Jordan River. Look at the sacrum, the cave where Jesus was dead for 3 days. Interesting, right? Hold on. The Dead Sea, the sacrum bone, the solar plexus. The cerebrospinal system is an extension of the brain. Excuse me. The brain with the spine also reminds me of a sperm. Also, it looks like the nerve. It looks like a tree with roots. Anyway, let's read this. Jesus, the oil, is in Nazareth, the head, with Joseph and Mary, the pineal and pituitary gland, and King Herod wants to kill him. Jesus, the oil, goes down the river, Jordan, the spine, to Bethlehem, next to the Dead Sea, the sacrum bone. Joseph and Mary, pineal and pituitary gland, are waiting for Jesus, the oil, to return. The process of the oil coming down from the head symbolizes Jesus coming down from heaven into physical form. Jesus dying for 3 days and then being resurrected to be crucified at 33 is a metaphorical story about the Christ oil process within the body, which activates 100% of the brain. The story of Jesus is metaphorical for the journey of the sacred oil the brain produces. The oil coming down from the brain is God descending from heaven to earth. Jesus dying for 3 days in the cave is symbolic of the sacred fluid staying in the sacrum bone at the base of the spine, the cave, for some time. Then once the oil is resurrected, hitting the Kundalini to raise the oil back up the spine, it travels past all the 33 vertebrae on the back of the spine and crosses the vagus nerve. The sacred oil crossing the vagus nerve is Jesus being crucified at 33 of age, because there are 33 vertebrae on the back of the spine. The death of Jesus symbolizes being born again and turning spirit matter into spirit. Jesus was crucified at Golgotha. I thought he's saying that wrong. Golgotha or Golgotha. which translate to the place in the skull. This is Jesus on the cross, overlapped onto the mind brain. Christ oil passes the 33 vertebrae. The Christ oil passes the 33 vertebrae of the spine and then passes the vagus nerve, which crosses over. Jesus was crucified at 33 because it was the crucifixion of the Christ oil passing the 33 vertebrae and crossing the vagus nerve. "33 vertebrae for the 33 years of Christ oil. Jesus dying at 33 also symbolizes turning matter into spirit when moving the oil past the 33 vertebrae, as he has sacrificed his flesh, nature, personality, and has now manifested his true God self. John 3:3. There you go, 33. John 3:3. Unless you are born again, you cannot see the kingdom of God. It's not a coincidence that the verse John 3:3 is talking about being reborn again. You are reborn again when the oil raises back up past the 33 vertebrae. Matthew 6:22. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore is thine eye be single. The whole body shall be full of light. Excuse me. Genesis 32:30. Jacob names the place Peniel, for he said, I have seen God face to face. Peniel is the pineal gland, which is the seat of consciousness, the throne of God. The kingdom of God is within you, is the key phrase in Luke 17:21. Jacob symbolizes the oil in this parable. The rock he fell asleep on is the sacrum bone, where the oil falls and stays for some time. He then saw a ladder that reached heaven, which is the spinal cord leading up to the brain, heaven. The spinal cord is the stairway to your head, heaven. And the Freemasons symbolized the spinal cord with a ladder or staircase. Now, when you look at, when we get down to this picture, you start researching this stuff, you'll see this picture as the brain also. And there's different ways you can use an allegory, but excuse me, damn. Damn. All right. Genesis 28:10 through 22, I guess. Jacob's ladder. Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran. the sun had already set when he came to a good place to spend the night. He took a rock there and laid his head on it to sleep. As it shows there, the stack. Next time I record, I got to turn that off somehow. All right. You see the rocks where the sacrum bone is? So Jacob had a dream. He dreamed there was a ladder that was on the ground and reached up into heaven. He saw the angels of God going up and down the ladder. And then Jacob saw the Lord standing by the ladder. He said, I am the standing by the ladder. And like I said earlier, they're sitting in a pyramid form, right? A triangle, which when people make, what are them things called? When they put crystals and metals and organite, you know, and they put it in a pyramid form, because that's what will, it's sort of like directing the energy to a point, right? Like a direct energy weapon. Directing light to a point. Same thing with the body. Now, you know, you could look at these Masonic lodges differently now. These pictures, I mean, right? You see Jacob's ladder, the spine, which Polaris is the third eye, or God's throne. Then the sun and the moon's the left and right brain, and so on. So, oh man. I hope this is the last one. Christians have heard that Jesus was crucified at 33 between two thieves at Golgotha, which translate to place of the skull. This story is symbolic, representing the space within your skull between the brain's left and right hemispheres. The age 33 symbolizes the spinal column, with 33 vertebrae on the back of the human spine, like the ladder Jacob saw in Genesis. The third cross represents the mid-brain, and the ventricles create a holy grail shaped cavity inside your skull. This place, like a manager and later a tomb, holds the pia mater, or tender mother, Mother Mary, producing cerebrospinal fluid, often linked to the salt of salvation. Damn, my mouth got salvation. This fluid, called chrism, is born, baptized the River Jordan, spinal cord, travels down the nervous system, and later returns to be symbolically crucified at the 33 vertebrae. This process crosses the arbor vitae of the cerebellum, leading to a return to the cave for sanctification, a symbolic resurrection or being born again from the cave of the third ventricle. I've shown that picture plenty of times, these pictures. The sun and moon are the two male and female principles that correspond with all things in this creation. The sun is positive, male and electric. The moon is negative, female, magnetic. The sun and moon create the sacred fluids within the brain. The two sacred fluids are referred to in the Bible as the milk and honey. The land flowing with milk and honey is the brain. Numbers 14:8. And if the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us safely into that land and give it to us. It is a rich land flowing with milk and honey, and he will give it to us. Lord or God equals higher self, inner. Lord or God equals higher self, inner you, observer, Christ. Milk is the moon, the pituitary gland, and honey is the sun, the pineal gland. The left and right brain, you got the tree is the spinal into the brain, right? The serpent is, I think, the energy or the oil going up, or it could be the energy going up and down the spine or the oil. 3 wise men from the east. 3 wise men from the east. The thalamus, the pineal gland, and the pituitary gland. The latter is the spine. East is upwards toward the brain. Masonic art. The crown chakra, or the top of the head, right? Or Polaris. The moon is the magnetic in the female, and the sun is the electric in the male. The 2 serpents to symbolize the 2 Kundalini channels wrapped around the spine. The fire at the bottom of the artwork symbolizes Kundalini energy at your spine's base. Activation of the Kundalini energy at the spine base is the force used to push the cerebrospinal fluid up the spine to reach the pineal gland. And you got the medical symbol. Damn. Sorry, everyone. The medical field employs this symbol due to the belief that when Kundalini energy elevates chrism oil or chrism oil to the brain, it possesses healing properties. It is suggested that stimulating the secretion activates dormant brain cells, regulates blood pressure, and facilitates overall body regeneration. And tomorrow, I'll do the 3 Wise Men, Chapter 5. But thank you for listening. Sorry for the interruptions. The next time, I will be more, what word am I looking for? I'll try to eliminate all these noises and interruptions. But thank you, everyone. This book is going to be very, very interesting. I've read ahead a lot. I mean, I'm glued to this book. I mean, a lot of stuff I knew, but there's so much to add that I didn't. And it just enlightens me and elevates me even more. And I really want to thank Candy for pointing me in this direction to this guy's channel and books. Thank you, Candy. And peace to everyone, man. I hope y'all stay elevated, stay positive, stay growing. Much love and respect to everyone. And until next time, I'm out.